Hey, it's Jonathan McGinley, a Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer, and the founder of Intentional Man, a company that exists to give Christian men the tools, community, and coaching to pursue God-sized goals, live intentionally, and build lives of significance. One of the main things that threatens to keep you from pursuing your dreams and doing the things that you've always wanted to do and living life to the fullest, I believe, is procrastination. It's putting off doing the things that you know you should be doing. It's so easy to live life thinking you have endless time to pursue your dreams, right? And right now, we're about 2 months away from the end of the year. This is the time where people start to think about putting the things off that they know they need to be doing. It's really easy to say, I'll start that new diet at the beginning of the year, or I'll really give my business the time and energy it needs after the holidays, or I'll start to invest in my most important relationships once things slow down a bit, right? It's really easy to get in that mindset when we come into the fourth quarter. But the reality is, the longer that you wait to do something that you know you should be doing, the less likely you are to actually do it. This is known as the law of diminishing intent. The longer you wait, the less likely you are to do something. It's easy to think that there'll somehow be some magic time in the future where you're going to have time to focus on your health. You're going to all of a sudden work is going to be in a spot where it slows down, and then you can focus on your relationships, right? It's easy to think that sometime in the future we'll have time to do the things that matter to us. But the truth is, that time is never coming unless you make the time. We live in a world where our time is sucked up so easily. And so you don't find the time for your priorities, you create the time for your priorities. You don't wait until circumstances are perfect. You make the circumstances perfect now. Most of the regrets that people have in life are regrets of omission, regrets where they didn't do something they knew they should have. Those are most of the regrets, rather than regrets of commission. Regrets of commission are doing something you know you shouldn't have done. But most people, when they come to the end of their lives and they look back, usually some of their deepest regrets are the things that they did not do. Opportunities they missed, dreams they didn't pursue, all the time they should have spent with their loved ones. Whatever it is, a lot of times it's those regrets of omission that really weigh on us the most at the end of our lives. And the sad part is, we're so afraid of making mistakes or failing that we never get around to doing the things that we want to do. We're afraid of having those regrets of commission where we do something that we regret, but we end up not doing anything at all and ending up with a long list of regrets of omission because we never actually stepped out and did anything. In James 4:14, it says, "Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money. Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes." You are a mist that appears and then vanishes. Life is short. It always goes faster than you think. And you probably live each day assuming that you have a ton of time. I'm so guilty of this, not living with a sense of urgency, thinking there's so much time to do the things that I want to do that I don't take action now. But the truth is, an intentional man is a man who doesn't wait until circumstances are perfect, because otherwise you're going to keep waiting your entire life. An intentional man knows that life is short, and he doesn't waste time on the things that are not important. So I want to ask you right now, wherever you are, I want to ask you this right now. What is one thing you know you should be doing that you've been putting off? What is that one thing that you've been putting off? Or what is one thing you know you should no longer be doing, that you need to stop doing, that you've been putting off? So take some time to answer that question. For some of you, it may immediately come to mind. For others, you may need to dig into it a little more. But go ahead and answer that question. What is the one change you need to make right now that would positively impact your life that you've been procrastinating on? Here's the reality. If you continue to put that off, the chances become greater that you will never actually do it. Good intentions are not enough. You must start to take action, and you must take action immediately. If you know you've needed to get your health in check for a long time now, don't wait until after the holidays. Get started today. If you know you need to invest more time into your family or your friendships, don't wait until things slow down at work or some magic time appears where you have time for these people. Make the time now. If you know you need to start that business or that ministry or the podcast or whatever it is, I would encourage you to take one step in that direction today. I know if you're listening to this podcast that you're a man that wants to make the most of your life. You're a man who wants to be a good steward of what God has given you. You want to come to the end of your life with few regrets and with a life that you're proud of. So today is the time to take action. Today's the time to get moving. It can be a small step or a large step, but just take the step. So I want to give you 4 different tools that you can use to help you overcome procrastination in your life and to get started. The first one, ask yourself, what is stressing me out about this situation or this change? Simple question. This is a great tool that you can use. What is stressing me out about this situation or this change? Almost all procrastination comes from some underlying stress. You're most likely running away from negative feelings by putting off your tasks. And most of the time, this is pretty unconscious, right? You don't even know what's truly keeping you from taking action. When I actually first started recording this podcast, I found myself procrastinating, recording the episodes over and over. I kept putting them off. And I always thought it was laziness or poor planning or something that was keeping me from taking consistent action. But the reality was it was fear. It was fear that I wasn't going to be good. It was fear that no one would like it or no one would listen or that it wouldn't be impactful. And all those things were playing out in my mind and I didn't even really realize it. But that's what was keeping me from taking consistent action because I was scared, because I was afraid of failing or afraid of not being good enough. And I continued to look at the symptoms like distractions or laziness or poor planning, and I would try to fix those things. But what I really needed to address was my fear of failure. And that's what was truly stressing me out. And that's what was keeping me from taking action. So one of the best things that you can do when you find yourself tempted to procrastinate is to ask yourself, what is stressing me out about this situation? And then really just dig deep into that core issue. Maybe the reason you don't want to take control of your health is because you'll think you'll just gain the weight right back and that it's going to all be a waste of time. That would be some underlying stress that's going to keep you from taking action. Or maybe you just think that the sacrifice is too great and you'd rather just keep eating whatever you'd like. Those things are underneath. You may think it's laziness. You may think it's a lack of motivation, but some of those things are underlying and they're going to keep you from taking action because that's truly what's causing the laziness or the lack of motivation. With relationships, it could be that you're scared that you're not going to be a good enough husband or you're not going to be a good enough father. And so you'd rather spend your time at work so you don't have to face that possibility that you might not be enough. See, that's an underlying stress. That's an underlying fear. And if that continues to be there, you're going to continue putting off doing the things that you know you want to do. So whatever it is, there is something deep down that's causing you to run away from doing what you know you need to do. And until you identify it and tack it, it's going to continue to hold you back. So always ask that question about that thing you identified. What is stressing you out from actually taking action? And then work on taking care of that issue. Okay, so that's number one. The second thing I would say, and this is kind of simple, but it's actually really powerful. Stop calling yourself a procrastinator. This seems simple, but the reality is you are not a procrastinator. That is not your identity. You're not a procrastinator, but you have had a habit of procrastinating. So if you continue to label yourself a procrastinator, that's exactly what you're going to continue to do. You're always going to live in alignment with how you see yourself. So if you believe that's who you are, then and that there's nothing you can do about it, that you're just always going to be a procrastinator, you're going to be doing that the rest of your life. Procrastination is not a finite character trait. It's an action. It's a habit. It is you do the action of procrastination. It is not something that you are. It is something that you can learn to control. It is something that you can overcome. So simple thing right there. But if that's something you've called yourself for a long time, try to catch yourself now and say, I'm not a procrastinator. I just up until now have been in a habit of procrastinating and I'm going to break that. Okay, so that's number two. The third thing that you must do to help overcome procrastination is break things down into smaller tasks. This is so important. You have to break down that change into smaller tasks. We are typically paralyzed into inaction when things feel way too big or they feel overwhelming. Losing 50 pounds may seem like a really daunting task. There are a lot of things that are involved in taking that on. And when you keep that big, when you keep that as this overwhelming thing that seems so hard to achieve, it's most likely going to force you to not take any action. Because again, there's stress. The underlying stress there is this is too big. This is too impossible. This is not manageable. And that stress is going to keep you from taking action. But when you can break that down into small, manageable steps, it becomes much easier to take action. So when I asked you that question earlier, what's the one thing you need to immediately start or stop doing that would have the biggest impact in your life? Take the answer to that question and then break it down into as many small tasks as possible. Then commit to taking action on those small steps. A lot of times that full change is in your discomfort zone, right? It's uncomfortable. It's going to stretch you. But a lot of times the small steps that are in there are actually in your comfort zone. So pick a few of those and just start knocking those out, things that you feel confident doing, and you'll start chipping away at that goal, at that change that you want to make. Action is going to give you momentum. Even if it's seemingly small action, the more you take action, the more momentum you're going to have. So that leads into my last point today, number 4. Just get started. Just get started. And this seems obvious, but the challenge is almost never as bad as we make it out to be in our minds. The reason you haven't started is because right now it feels too hard and it feels too overwhelming and there's that underlying stress. But when you take action on the small manageable steps that you just laid out, you're going to grow in confidence and you're going to realize that you are fully capable of doing this. Getting started is usually the hardest part and the part that keeps so many people from their dreams. It's really sad. So many dreams die before they even start because we're too scared to jump into them. Right? Too many changes we know we need to make that'll make such a big positive impact in our lives and in our relationships, our relationship with the Lord, the things He's put on our hearts to do. A lot of those things die because we just never get started. We stress out, we make it too big, we make it too daunting or too overwhelming that we never just take the steps to get going. You don't need to have it all figured out. Make a plan, make a basic plan, and then just get started. You can always make adjustments as you go. It's really hard to turn a car if it's completely stopped, right? If you're totally stopped, it's hard to turn that wheel. It's hard to change directions. But when that car is moving, just a slight movement of the wheel turns the entire car. And the same is true in your life. When you're taking action, when you're moving forward, when you have momentum, it's much easier to make the necessary adjustments in your life. So my challenge to you today is to do something right now, today, that will get you started on the thing that you've been procrastinating. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait till the end of the year. Get started today. Take one step in that direction and then commit to doing one more thing tomorrow. Just get going. Let's be men that don't wait for the right circumstances to do what we need to do, but rather create the circumstances and create the time to make it happen. So don't come to the end of the year with regrets. Don't come to the end of your life with regrets. Take action and take action today. You got this. I believe in you. I know you can do it. You have everything it takes. I promise you. So thanks for joining me today. I hope this was inspiring. I hope it was encouraging. If it was helpful, please share it with someone else that you know might need today's message. So thanks for being here. Live a life you're proud of by living intentionally.